Good afternoon from the garden and welcome to our 2021 winter squash review. I feel like this should have been a Halloween special and I should have been wearing a witch hat, but unfortunately I did not bring one. We do, however, have a wide variety of winter squash. This year we grew 11 different varieties and our harvest is the total harvest is the largest yet. I think that this is our 5th winter squash review. So you'll see that some of the varieties are old favorites, but we have also trialed a couple of exciting new ones, so I will tell you all about those. This year we grew only varieties from 2 of the sort of branches from the large winter squash family, and those are from the group Cucurbita moscata and Cucurbita maxima. And the reason for that is that I think the fruits from those 2 branches are the best tasting and they keep the longest. So let's start with the Moscata family. If you're a long-time viewer or if you're one of the people who binge watch the entire channel content, then you probably know that in the past few years we concentrated on finding the best varieties of butternut squash for our climate. And I think we have succeeded. I don't think we really need to look much further. This year I only grew 3 of our favorites from past years, and once again they did not disappoint. We had Sonca, which is this one, Anna, which is very similar but slightly larger, and then the much larger Barbara. Sonca is a Hungarian variety, and when I talked about it last year, I said that I was able to find out that the name is a shortened version of Soncatok, which apparently in Hungarian means ham squash, and it puzzles me a little. What did this squash have to do with ham? I asked the viewers, and there was somebody from Hungary who said that the name, that it's named because it looks like ham. My husband said, in retrospect, it seems very obvious, but my husband said that it probably did not occur to me because I'm a vegetarian. Anyway, once again, this variety did really well for us. We got 9 fruits, which were around 600 grams per fruit. This is slightly smaller than my ideal size, but I feel like this would be a really good variety for a small household, like 1 or 2 people. Then the slightly larger one, Anna, gave us 7 fruits, and they weighed on average 970 grams, and that's pretty much my ideal butternut squash, because it's a squash that I can use up in 1 meal, and I found that very convenient. I have talked many times before about my 1 meal squash policy. Then the last butternut that we grew was Barbara, which is much larger. But if you watch, sorry about, I was afraid I was covering the mic. If you watched our last year's review, then you know I declared this one a winner because of how productive it was. Last year it gave us 8 fruits of 2.3 kilos on average and a total of 18 kilo per plant. This year again I thought it was 18 kilo, but it was only 5 fruits, which means they were even larger than last year, 3.7 kilo on average. I said I thought we had 5 fruits because I have just discovered a last one hiding in the patch. So I have not accounted for that one. That means the total yield per plant was even more than 18 kilo, which it was last year. I feel like the only downside of this variety is the size. It might not be for you, but it is for me, since we don't have a freezer, and that means that if I cut into it, I have to use it up within a couple of days. So that means 3 or 4 meals. And I have to be creative about it because I can't serve my family at the same meal for 5 days in a row. So I like to see this as a challenge, and last year I even did a video about how I tackle the larger squashes, so if you're interested, I'll link that below. Then there was one more squash variety from the Moscata family. It's Anvers, which is in taste very similar to the butternuts, but it has a very different shape. And this too is a variety that we have grown several times in the past years, and it is a firm favorite. It is very productive, even though it did not do well last year, but this year again it was very productive. It gave out 11 fruits of 850 grams on average, which is also, I think, a pretty good size. But the reason that I love this one is that it has exceptionally sweet taste, and in my opinion it's the best one for baking, for sweet dishes. It also has a very I feel like it has lower water content, so it's not, that also makes it more suitable for baking. Now let's move on to the Cucurbita maxima family, and let's start with the biggest disappointment, which is this one. This variety is called Lakota, and this is the total of our harvest. However, I have grown this variety before. We grew it in 2018, and back then we got 4 fruits that weighed 5 kilo on average. So I know it can produce well in our climate. I don't know what went wrong this year. If I was only basing myself, is that what you on this year's result, I would not be tempted to grow this again, but I know that it can produce well, so we might grow it again. The taste was very good in any case. I have declared that this year we were trying to get some good hybrid varieties, and I am pleased to say that we were successful, disregarding the Lakota. We grew this beautiful variety, which is called Fictor with an F. That's not a typo. It's a variety bred recently in the Netherlands by Bolster, which is a biodynamic seed company. So they have developed this especially for our climate and for organic growing. And I must say that it did pretty much everything that they said it would. It was very productive. The fruits are pretty uniform. We got 10 fruits of 1.4 kilo on average, and I consider that's a very good size as well. It's like one very large meal. And there was one more thing. One more plus. This is very similar to the classic red Uchiki red curry, which was popularized by the microbiotic movement. However, it ripens several days earlier, so that makes it even more suitable for our climate. Another success was the green Hokkaido, this beautiful green with gray stripes. We got 8 fruits that were 1.5 kilo on average, which is pretty much the same as the Fictor. We have not tasted that one, unlike the Fictor, which we have already, I think we ate already twice. We made one of our favorite fall soups with it. This one we have not tried yet, but it's supposed to have very good taste. I have no reason to doubt that. And orange flesh. Another variety from the same family is Chersonskaya. I feel like the squash will start rolling down. Beautiful fruits of this gray, very elegant for fall decorations. I feel like it's an Ukrainian variety. I grew it once before. It did not do that well. I think back then we only got 1 fruit, but the taste was excellent, so I thought I would give it another chance. The result was slightly better this year. We got 4 fruits. but the size was very variable. The largest one was 4.1 kilo and the smallest one was just 830 grams. But you know, it's an improvement on the previous results, so I'll take it. Another disappointment was Buttercup, and I'm not even sure that this fruit is belongs to the variety, because actually I have not found any fruit that would look the way this variety was supposed to look. But it's supposed to be a little boxy, so maybe it was this one. But this is, again, this is the only fruit of this shape that we got, and it was, bear with me, have I not written down? Well, you can estimate the size. So, but on the other hand, it has the same sort of gray stripes, so I'm not sure that this is not a misshapen, another misshapen green Hokkaido. Then we got, moving on to our largest fruits, this variety is called Sweet Fall, and again it's Cucurbita maxima. We got 2 fruits and they were respectively 4 and 4.5 kilo. So definitely several meals worth. It has this beautiful sort of salmon color. It's a Hubbard heirloom. It's supposed to be very sweet. We have not tasted it yet. But it's supposed to. The taste is supposed to be so good that you can even eat it raw. So we'll try to verify that. One thing that I'm a little surprised by is this sort of texture on top, because the pictures from the seed company where I bought my seeds and also other pictures online, the fruits were glad, smooth. So I don't know whether this is possibly that the sort of the seeds were not the pure variety, but it was sort of accidentally cross-pollinated or something, or whether it has something to do with the climate. But yeah, it has nothing, like it doesn't influence the taste, so it's not a problem. I even like the way it looks, but it's just different than what I expected. And now on to my very favorite, not a very practical one, but the most beautiful one. This is a variety called Galeux des. I apologize if there are any French people watching and I'm butchering the pronunciation. I'm really trying. Well, it's a French heirloom, and it's a variety that I was trying to grow for several years, but I could never get it to germinate. This year I got germination, so I grew it, and we got 2 fruits, which were, this is the smaller one. It is around, it's 4.2 kilo, and the other one is twice as big. It's 8.5 kilo. I feel like this is my ideal Halloween winter squash, because it just looks so peculiar. There are some interesting things about that I was able to find, some interesting information for how these sort of warts appear. Apparently they're caused by difference in temperature, because if it's very warm during the day, then the fruits grow quickly and there are cracks appear in the skin, and then when it cools down and sap oozes through the that's such a Halloweeny description. It sounds so gross. The sap oozes through the cracks, and then when it cools down, it's sort of colgates, and that's what causes these warts. So the bigger the difference in temperatures, the more warty the pumpkins, the winter squash, will appear. About the name, Ézines is a suburb of Bordeaux in France, and apparently it was an area where a lot of vegetable growers were, and this is probably a variety that comes from that area. But Galeux at least if that's correct. And if you're French, please let me know if it is true. It's not a very flattering name, because apparently it means guy with scabies. So it is descriptive, but and very Halloweeny, I feel like. So I am very happy that I was finally able to grow it. We have not tasted it yet, but another point in its favor is that unlike the classic orange Halloween pumpkins, which do not have a very good taste, this one should really be delicious. So these are all the varieties we grew, and today I added up the weight, and we grew in total, but I was not counting the last Barbara in that, 97.7 kilo. When I add this one, it will be over 100 kilo, which is more than twice the weight that we grew last year. And last year I was like, people ask what we do with all this winter squash. We will eat it all. We did eat last year's harvest. However, I feel like this year we have some winter squash to spare, and our harvest will get not only us, but maybe some other people also through the winter. I hope you enjoyed this year's review. I had fun talking about all the winter squash. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and please let me also know if you have experience with the varieties that I grew, or if you have other favorites that I should be trying next year. Happy gardening!